Hi, people watching in the future. I know what week it is. I'm not even going to try to think. I'm so excited about today. So, last week we did an experiment where we asked people for money. How did it go for you, Naomi?
I did half the experiment. Uh, half the experiment. Um, because we talked about reaching out to specific people, and that part I didn't do. I didn't do. I did post on Facebook though. And in the past, when you've done that kind of thing, the only place I have posted is in the Infinite Receiving community. But this time I posted on my Facebook page, and then I saw Lila's post, and I was like, ah, crap. Lila posted it so everybody on the planet could see this. I posted mine so friends and family and friends could see it, but that was it. I didn't want to go beyond that reach because I had this belief that somebody would see it and there could be haters out there who have opinions who might say some shit.
Yeah.
But then I saw Lila's post was global. My post global, and I was amazed by the number of people who gave it a thumbs up or a love or a whatever, and the number of people who commented. And one of them, I actually talked more about how it came about and this whole year of ask thing. She was like, oh my god, that's so cool. And most of the people who commented actually did participate. And then there were some who didn't comment, didn't like, nothing, and still participated, which was super awesome. And, some people had some humor with it. Like my BFF posted from what movie is that? Better Off Dead, where it's, I want my $2. Hysterical. I'd get that reference. And so there was some fun and playfulness, and as I was talking with Bear about it, for those of you who don't know, that's my half side, my husband, who's over there now beaming. One of the things I said is I realized asking for charities, I have no problem. Asking for fundraisers, I have no problem. That's easy. Asking for money for no apparent reason feels weird to me. And the other thing I told him, I said, if I was in a place where things weren't tight, it doesn't bother me as much. It doesn't weird me out. In a place where things are tight, absolutely won't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what's that about? I feel really weird. And I recognize that part of it is just this background chatter. And I think a lot of it comes from my upbringing. Love my dad. And
hello, Midwest.
Yeah. I don't want to be a burden. Shouldn't be a charity. Don't want to be a charity. Should really be able to take care of your damn self. So just some of those things, it's like interesting how, okay, if there were $200,000 in my bank account, it wouldn't bother me to ask for money. Now, of course, if there's $200,000 in my bank account, I probably wouldn't think twice about the experiment. There aren't quite that many zeros on my bank account. But it was a lot stranger to do. And I was surprised by the reaction of people being like, oh my God, that's so cool. That wasn't at all the response I anticipated. So
yeah,
it was kind of fun. It was kind of fun to share what we've been doing with this whole year of Ask, and it's had me looking at the journey of asking differently as well.
That's yummy. Did you do anything with the voice in your head, or did you just observe it?
I've been doing some writing with it because I want to deconstruct, if you will, some of that chatter Are those my values? Are those my beliefs? Are those simply society driven? And it's been, not to go down a political tangent, but with some of the he said, she said shit that's out there on the interweb right now. And some of the values that are being thrown around, it's got me looking at, and if these are society's values as a collective, if you will, I realize that there will always be people within the society who don't share those values, but I get to look at, is that what I want to subscribe to? Is it, or am I wanting to subscribe to a more charitable and compassionate stance? And what does that look like for me? So I think that this is a piece that's going to be an ongoing digging into. It's not just oh, that was a voice in my head. It's taking some journaling, and I think it's going to be taking some work. Really discern, where is it I'm choosing to come from? What space?
I love that.
Yeah. What space do I want to sit in, come from, stand for, all of that? So it may have just been an experiment to ask for money and, hey, drop $2 in my PayPal account if you feel so inclined. I even had somebody drop 10. Wow, completely unexpected. So what does compassion look like? What does charity look like? How can we be more charitable with ourselves? That's a question that I've gotten to ponder this week for myself too. What does it look like and sound like and feel like to be more charitable with myself?
I love that.
Right? Because honestly, isn't that where it starts? And for me, I'm laughing. I realize I'm tapping down into kinesthetic. How does that feel? For me, it's an opportunity to let go of being concerned about what are other people going to say. Are people going to judge me? And that chatter was there. There were specific people. I was like, God, I hope so-and-so doesn't see this because I know they're going to have something to say about it, And none of those people, if they did see it, they didn't bother commenting, which is great because it's none of my business what they think until they decide to post it on my Facebook page. And then even then, is it my business? I don't know, but it was such an opportunity of getting to look at, how do I view other people who are in need? What do I hold? And because typically those judgments are then reflected back on me, and or judgments I have towards myself. So it was a simple exercise, but so much has come out of it,
I love it.
Yeah. Now I know it's not the first time. Oh, you look like you have something to say. So before I go on.
No, go on.
I was going to say, I know you've done the experiment before.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything different for you doing it this time?
A lot. Last time I asked for $1. This time I asked for $2 because $1 felt easy. And I had judgments about asking for $2. I love the way you approached the chatter, because I just slathered it all in access processes. Interesting point of view. I have the point of view that I should give this person something because they gave me more than the $2 that I asked for. At some point, when we got over $20 and it was hard to breathe, I was like, wow, we're just gonna clear that out. I'm totally open to receiving, but it was at each part of it, I ran the clearing statement on something, because there were people, the majority of the people gave more than $2.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this program that seems to be running for me that I have to give back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't already give a lot. I'm raising children. They're just little gimmies with feet. I give oh so much.
And you give a lot to other people too.
Yes, like, but let's start there. Like,
Yes.
I'll get a salary for 24/7, 365 job. There's no health insurance, there's no vacation, there's no sick pay, like there's just a bunch of and you know how many healings have I done pro bono? How much do I teach and facilitate? And I had a friend the other day say that she was feeling bleh. And I was like, do you want to process that? Because it's like Skittles. Like, I got tools, you want to use it? And so to have some of that come back as cash is what I have to keep reminding myself of. I am giving all of the time. Be a receiver sometimes. It's okay.
So one of the things that comes up for me around that, because that sometimes shows up for me as well, and I've seen it with my half side as well, is, and I think this is, it feels a little Rain Man-ish. I think it's a human construct because we realize and recognize that money is just a flow of energy. And yet there sometimes for me is this thing where I get that I've given a lot of places. I've given a ton free.
Yeah.
But it wasn't given to that person who dropped 10.
Right.
And so I suddenly start thinking, but I have to give it to that person. And it's almost like it discounts all the other free stuff that I've put out there to other people.
Yeah.
So I think that's a huge, huge piece of it. Where are we as two-leggeds, you and I, creating this tit for tat as far as the energy exchange goes? And how do we let that go?
For me,
I think I just channeled my grandma, tit for tat. Who says that?
for me, it's the tool of interesting point of view. Like, what an interesting point of view that I have to give immediately back to the person that gave to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just an interesting point of view. And to Byron Katie it a little bit, who would I be without that interesting point of view?
Hmm.
Um,
Love her.
right? So yeah.
And of those people that we've given our time and our energy and our healing tools to for free, how many of those people did we expect to get something back?
None.
Exactly.
How interesting is that?
And yet we don't think poorly of them. Or if anybody watching this, if it has built resentment, that's a place to look. Maybe a place to asterisk and go back to and do a little work later. Because I have had that happen for myself in the past, where I've given something and had an expectation of getting something in return. Doesn't necessarily mean
spoken expectation.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Unspoken, sometimes hidden.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it's even been an agreed upon expectation that wasn't monetary.
Okay.
And if it doesn't come back, and so it's a place for me to check, okay, did I really give this as freely as I thought? So there's that aspect of it. And
Well,
assume that most places that I give, and I give freely, if I have no expectation of something coming back, how do I then turn around and accept things freely without an expectation of giving something back?
mm, yeah, that's really juicy in a couple of things. So if we have a barter agreement,
Mhm.
then I anticipate we both honor our ends of the barter agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Um, However, when I am just giving, then okay. But it's very interesting to be on the receiving end of that. And I personally feel like this is some inner child healing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if y'all want to hear the story, I will tell y'all the story. Naomi's heard the story. If you want to hear the story, ask. But I feel like it's that, like, me rewriting the story of no, it's not okay for someone to just give you money. You have to go and give it back to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, really, it's okay. So that's where I am with it.
Well, and I think that that's a great place. And I think that's really with this experiment, it was less about how, it wasn't about the what kind of balance did you end up with at the end of the day. It wasn't about that. It wasn't about who did and didn't. Although it was interesting. That was kind of a fun, wow thing to see.
Yeah.
Um, and yet I think that at the core of it, a lot of the core is, what are our beliefs? What is that internal dialogue about receiving,
Yeah.
about being okay with, and where do those pieces come from? But more importantly, how do we change those stories? There's someone I know who their story is not completely dissimilar to yours. What theirs was anytime they got money as a kid, adults in their life would take it. Total, robbing piggy banks and bank accounts. And so this person has a belief that if I get money, someone is going to take it.
Yeah.
And so anytime I've seen this person get money, they immediately spend it. There's zero savings.
Well,
And
because I have to spend it before somebody takes it.
yeah, because otherwise someone will take it. They
Yeah.
will. Simply, it's their story is less about a deserve aspect and more about, when I get money, this happens. To avoid this happening, I will just spend it right away.
Yeah.
And it's, you get to choose whether or not you keep those old stories.
Yeah, that one's no longer serving me.
Yeah.
So rewriting, actively rewriting.
Well, and that's the thing, is you want to actively rewrite it, because those stories don't just change themselves. They
Right.
don't.
No. I mean,
So,
I would have to have a calamity in the other direction to have it be an instant change. Like I'd have to hit the lotto that I never play. Like
I also don't think that would change your story.
Maybe. Like
Just based on
some,
what happen with people who win the lottery.
they give it away.
They give it
Like
away, they say,
they go back
within.
to broke instantly.
Mhm.
Um, so I would have to be gifted like an impressive amount of. Now, the gift that I received a couple weeks ago was along that path of no, it is okay, just say thank you. Um, yeah, thanks. Um, it would there would have to be a few more zeros involved for it to be like an instant, like no, you are receiving this, and like to an instant change the story. But I'm okay with a gradual shift in the experience.
I was going to say, would it have to be one really big sum, or do you think it's a gradual over time, consistently receiving larger and larger amounts that suddenly receiving is no longer a big deal?
Yeah, that's what's happening. That's the active rewrite of the story where, I had random strangers walk up to me on the sidewalk and hand me an envelope of cash. And I went, "School's on me?" My first thought was, how am I being served eviction papers? I'm only like 2 days late with the rent. That's because I was in a panic back then, back in those times. Um, but and these people like were looking for me. They called me by name, put this envelope in my hand, said, "This is for you." And I said, "Okay, thanks," with my people pleasy face on because it's a reflex. And inside I was like utterly panicked, got in their car and drove away. I opened the envelope and it was money. And I was like, $162. Hmm. It's an interesting amount of cash for random strangers to just hand me. And
Right.
I could not pick those people out of a lineup today. Don't know who they were, but they were specifically for me. It would have to be an experience like that with like millions. And I'd be like, it's okay for me to receive.
Walked up
But
with my name on it, I would probably have to have you help me process a little bit. I'll be honest.
yeah, totally, we could do that.
I'd
um,
even pay you for that exchange because obviously there'd be plenty of zeros.
absolutely.
Holy cow.
You got my PayPal address. PayPal would probably be like, is this a legit transaction? And I'd be like,
That one I have to spread out over a few.
yes, PayPal, yes, it is. But that one was easy because I couldn't give it back to them, and I couldn't give it back to them. I didn't know who they were.
Huh?
And when my friends bought me tires, that was also an interesting experience.
Mm-hmm.
And she recently asked if the kids needed school supplies, and I was like, thank you, but they're good. But it was still kind of like,
Right? Okay.
so I
So,
still have the point of view that it's okay for their dad to give me money. It's okay for
okay.
for certain family members to
Okay.
give me money. But everybody else, it's a deal. It's a thing.
Hmm. And is that different for you than like somebody offering without you asking,
Oh yeah.
what do you need versus you asking for something and getting it?
Yeah. So when she bought the tires for the Saturn, she had offered
Right.
other things, and I was like, I might not need that. I'll let you know what I need when I figure it out. Because she offered to buy beds for the boys, but beds were being delivered, and she offered to pay their back childcare, but I was working that out with the state, so I might not have needed that. And so I was like, tires, security tires, they're about the same price as a bunk bed. And she put $70 extra in my hand. And if I tried to pay her back, she'd fuss at me. That's what it boils down to. And so that is easy. Unsolicited asking is much more challenging.
Well, like with the school supplies, same person, school
Yeah.
supplies.
Yeah.
So what's the difference with somebody just saying, hey, do the boys need school supplies?
That school supplies has become one of those things where I don't know how much Abraham people listening have listened to, but I'm sure you've heard Abraham say, we're going to soon have to have demanifestation classes. I am there with school supplies. Last year, my client said, transfer whatever money you need and go buy school supplies for the kids. And so here's the interesting thing about that one. I still think about that. She has completely forgotten it even happened. It's over $100. And she was like, oh yeah, I did do that, didn't I? Yeah, you did, crazy lady. So in her world, it happened, it's over, she didn't even think about it no more. And I'm still over here like, oh, that was so nice of you. But if someone offers, no matter what the offer is, it's easier for me to receive it than if I ask for it.
Okay. Can you say more about that as to what comes up for me is what's waiting to be deconstructed for you in that?
But there's something wrong with asking, which is why I'm doing this adventure, because there's nothing wrong with asking. People like giving me things.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't ask, go ahead.
If you don't ask, go ahead.
If I don't ask, I deprive people from the opportunity of blessing me. They want to.
Mm-hmm. There's a woman I know locally who's very involved in a lot of different organizations, a lot of volunteer work, charity work. You are so funny. Hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. Yeah. I get like that, and it makes my husband laugh. But this woman, she's highly involved with a lot of things. She, everything from the homeless to, it usually has to do with people in need. And one day I realized what a disconnect there is a lot of times for people. There was someone we knew who was having a hard time paying for something, and they were $25 short, and they simply didn't have it. And she was just heartbroken for this person. Now, at the time, this has been a few years ago, and at the time, being an entrepreneur is very cyclical and roller coastery at times, where sometimes there's ups, sometimes there's downs, and sometimes the ups are a very long time and you hit it down, and it just is what it is. And we were at a place where things were a little bit tight, and she was going on and on about how she couldn't believe that, here's this person who is well educated, who, and she wasn't being judgy. She felt bad for them.
Yeah.
Because she can't believe that in this area, in her mind, the only people who are struggling to that degree are people who are homeless. The rest of us aren't struggling like that. and it made her so sad. She's like, I can't believe that there are people in this valley who that $25 is a deal breaker. And I'm thinking, you obviously don't get out much. But that was my judgment, because I'm sitting there thinking, do you think I'm here? Because we happen to be in a networking environment at the time. It's like, do you think I'm here just because I want to meet people and have some fun? I'm building a business which supports my damn family.
Yeah. I love your faces. They're the best faces.
It blew my mind, and it just helped me to see where sometimes people have really big hearts and they don't see the shit going on around them. It isn't just, and granted, our area, it's a very, if you simply look at the surface, it's a very wealthy area. I know plenty of people who have memberships at 5 wineries, and that's not an exaggeration, which can be a pretty hefty fee every single month, and the cars they drive, some of them, their mortgage is, or their car payment is almost as much as our rent payment. And I'm like, so on the surface, it looks like it's a town of well-to-do, but there's this huge portion of the population who that is not the case for. And yeah, I can't do that. I'm $25 short. Yeah, it happens, I think, a lot more than she realizes. And so I know there are people out there of generous heart, of generous spirit. And are we willing to ask for the help? Move my beds. Help me haul this shit out to the trash. Put $2 in my account. Whatever that ask is. Are we willing to ask, and are we willing to receive? And I think, too, for me, it's also helping me, this journey of asking, to pay attention to the people around me. Are there those people who, and I realize you can't judge them based on how they look, because that person with the $600 car payment may have been fine when they got that car a year ago, and maybe now some things have happened where that car payment is killing them.
Yeah.
You can't tell by looking at someone, but it's about paying attention to the people around me. Who else may be in need of services? Who else may be in need of some support and help?
Yeah.
It may or may not look like who needs money, but it might. But it's about paying attention, and it goes back to that, what I was talking about earlier, the place of what space am I coming from? Am I coming from a place of compassion and generosity? And I can tell you that the compassion has been there from time to time. But this has really challenged me to look at what does generosity look like. So, yeah.
That's really yummy.
Yeah.
So the specific people that we were going to reach out to,
Damn it. Mm-hmm.
that we didn't reach out to, did you unpack any of that, or did you just like avoid it?
I think a lot of it still goes back to the asking for money. What I have unpacked, I haven't completely processed through it. A big part of what I unpacked is it goes back to even if they wouldn't judge, there are some who I think if I asked them specifically would, and some who would not. There are probably some who would not, who I think would, but in pulling all of that apart, the biggest thing that comes up for me is it's a lot of old programming from it's family programming.
Okay.
And I'm not certain how much of that is going to be deconstructed. I don't know how much of that I'm going to let go of and how much I'm going to keep, which parts of it. So haven't done anything complete with it, but I do see, as far as unpacking it, I'm seeing where it's coming from. It's the not wanting to be judged and also giving me an opportunity to look at where am I judging. If I see somebody who's needing money and is bold enough to ask for it, do I judge? Do I, create a story of, well, if that person would, this, God, I hear family voices in my head. That person would get off their ass and get a job. Well, that sounds, it's a nice pat answer. Sometimes it's not as simple as that. But so it's giving me a chance to look at which pieces are truly mine and own them or let go of them, and which pieces aren't mine and definitely let go of them.
For sure.
Yeah.
And let me know if you want tools, but interesting point of view. I have the point of view is like nonsense that works. All of Access is nonsense that works. But it's like interesting point of view. I have the point of view that person should go get a job. Or maybe it's not your point of view. This is me being judgy. And I feel like, how Brene Brown says, like, if you're not in the arena, you don't get to have an opinion.
Yeah.
I get that everybody's situation is different. I get that every person is different and they're going to go through their storm differently. And there have been some people's asks that I have judged from my perspective of being in the same shoe store they were in. I might not have been wearing that exact pair, but I have been in that neighborhood. And so it's like, oh, interesting point of view. I have the point of view that person should just go get a job. Interesting point of view. I have the point of view that person should just live in a shelter for 3 months so that they can actually get their children into a home, as opposed to I'm just going to tough it out and work myself to death trying to do it on my own. And so, yeah, that's been fun to play with. It's also been really interesting to see how judgy. I knew I was judgy. Like, I knew I was judgy. It's interesting to see how judgy.
Well, and I get just equally judgy with myself about it. It's not just about judgy about that person. It's judgy with myself. Why are you doing this experiment? Why are you asking for money? Really? Why would you reach out to somebody to ask for $2? And every time I saw somebody put money in, it's like, in a way, it almost restores faith in humanity, not because of the money, but because the act of generosity. So
someone sent me $1. She said that was all that was in there. Said, you're awesome. I love you.
Perfect. So perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do we have an adventure scheduled for this week, or should we see what unfolds?
Well, I did a second adventure this past week.
Do tell.
I'm done living here.
Mm-hmm.
For all sorts of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Because by the time all is said and done with our lease renewal, our rent will have gone up almost just shy of 50% in 2 years. That's a big ass MF jump. And I'm not seeing improvements that to me are worth it So I am done. I'm done. And I know what I want. And so I put it out there because normally I would just go hunt for it myself. But I put it out to a community of mine and said, hey, this is what I'm looking for. And I've had one person come back with 3 options. Now, it helped me to see where I need to get a little more clear on the details of what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Because it needs to be less than what we're paying or a heck of a lot nicer.
Yeah.
And cutting the space down by 70% is not a heck of a lot nicer, in my opinion. Nope. And it's getting my half side and I on the same page of what we are and aren't willing to settle for. But I put that out. That was kind of another adventure in asking, because I would not normally have put that out there to my community. I would have just gone and hunted myself.
Yeah. So what do you think made that shift for you?
Oh, getting the notice that our rent was going up again.
What do you think made the shift of you being willing to ask your community versus you figuring it out on your own?
Part of it has just simply been in this process of asking, because then it just makes me more conscious of, oh, this is something I could go ask my community for. So that's part of it. Part of it is, if I don't take action in some way, shape, or form, and asking is part of action, putting it out not just to the universe, but to actually take action, which means either go search for stuff on my own or get help in doing so, nothing's going to change, and that lease is going to have to get signed again. That's just a plain and simple of it.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. So it's also giving us an opportunity to look at what is next. What is next? Where is next?
All these adventures with new homes.
Yeah. Right?
I'm excited.
So as far as what's next going forward, I'm going to keep working on deconstructing the asking for the $2. I want my $2. Because I think there's a lot of stuff to still look at within all of that. As far as an asking, I think the place to live is going to be my big focus for right now. There are other smaller things that I want, but like the couch, I want a new couch. But right now, if we're going to be getting a new place, maybe I want to wait for a minute.
Yeah.
So right now, the homestead is the big ask project. It's a big ask project.
I dig it.
And asking, I think this is going to be a big piece of it. Asking in spite of people saying it doesn't exist around here.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I start buying into that it doesn't exist around here. What I want for the price I want in the location that I want. That doesn't exist, really.
Anything is possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big part of what's going to make that project a juicy project.
Okay.
What about you?
Keep us posted.
Yeah.
I'm gonna spend some time with my discomfort over not asking the specific people that I said I was gonna ask. Yeah, because man, is it uncomfortable. So that's gonna be this week for me. And then I won't have an adventure next week. Well, that's not true. But we'll be on vacation, so the adventure might be in the moment adventures and
Mm-hmm.
asking. Yeah. How will they?
Cool.
Family vacations are always fun growth experiences for me.
It's a little easier for us because we don't have,
Children's.
what was it? Gimmies with feet?
My three, my children have no problem with asking.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
The little one came home and told me that his friend was going to get him a PlayStation 4 for Christmas. And I said, okay. Because, I mean, the level of discomfort that would be is immense. Like, I won't know until I stop breathing. That's what usually happens. I'm like, oh, I'm uncomfortable. Like, these video game systems are over $300. And yet, if little man can manifest himself a PlayStation 4, all I'm going to say to that mom is thank you.
Right.
But they have no problems. We are trooping home from school before I got a car. A police officer parked on the side of the road, and 7-year-old Lucas walked up the car and went, "Hi, do you have anything for us?" Cop's like, anything like what? He's like, I don't know. The firefighters gave us hats. Do you have any hats?
I love it.
And the cop is like, no, the firefighters have all the cool things. I'm sorry. And he's like, that's okay. My name's Lucas. What's your name? Like, stuck his hand in the car, shook the cop's hand, introduced his entire family. Lillian's like, stop telling people my name.
Love your son.
I think they have no problems with asking. He asked my enjoyable other if he would edit. Will you be my editor for my YouTube channel? Completely serious. Will you be my editor?
I love that. I knew a woman who was like that when I was going through my certification courses. And there were a small group of us that got together to kind of be study and accountability partners through the last half of it. And this woman had no qualms about asking for anything. It didn't matter. It didn't matter if it was money. It didn't matter if it was help. It didn't matter if it was a connection to someone else. She had zero issues. She also had zero attachments to somebody saying no. She just wasn't attached. It was such a normal thing for her to, if she needed $300, she'd be like, hey, Lila, I need $300. Do you have $300 for me? It was like Lucas asking the cop first, the firefighters had hats. Do you have something for me? It would be that. It could have had an extra zero. Me, I'm like, hey, we're doing this thing. Can I get $2? Can I have a bag? What a beautiful thing to watch your children.
Yeah, I have fought. Like, they came to teach me this because I have fought myself since they could speak with not telling them not to ask for what they want. Because they're just like, so, random person, will you buy me this thing? Well, random person, will you?
And the thing is, there are random people out there who would. There are random people. When I see things like, somebody came in and decided to be Secret Santa and pay off all the layaways at Walmart or Target or Kmart, whatever the hell stores do layaways. hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of layaways paid in full. When I see that kind of thing happens, there are people out there who are willing to help those in need.
Yeah.
If there weren't, we wouldn't have a million charities.
Right.
There's the biggies and the big names, but locally, I've been amazed. I'm involved with one group who every month when we meet, they bring in a nonprofit to tell us about what their nonprofit is up to in the community. And there's a ton of local nonprofits, everything from horse rescue to working with foster kids. I mean, it runs the gamut. It's not all people in need type of things, but they all offer some kind of support within the community. And those organizations are only around because people are giving.
Mm-hmm.
So there are people willing to give. Now, what I find interesting is sometimes people will be more likely to give to a charity than to someone as an individual.
Yeah.
That'll be a judgment piece that I get to work on.
All interesting points of view.
Yes. Yes.
Wait.
Awesome. So keep us posted on what you find and discover for yourself around the people you didn't ask individually. And if you and I decide we want to do that again, I saw your face on that, and continue it forward, let's chat and see about what it would take to make that happen. So
yeah, I think I might. Yeah. I love the way the inside of my head works. So I'm thinking about the least painful way to do it like this. I'm not talking myself out of it so much. I'm like crafting the message in my head. Like, just share the event, just share the post to them and be like, hey, it made me really uncomfortable to think about asking you specifically for this, so I'm asking you specifically. And then I'm gonna go hide and eat a cookie.
there will probably be chocolate consumption, right? Or wine. I don't know. Maybe both.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. And for those of you who are watching, if you have your own adventures of asking, put them in the comments. If you want to have some assistance in figuring out how to begin your own asking journey, pop it in the comments. We're here to help.
We are here for you.
Just ask.